Megalopolis is legitimately one of the greatest things that I have ever seen on the big screen.
My plan is a city that people can dream about.
Megalopolis.
What about those standing in your way?
I do not even know how to start this. It's probably not going to be a traditional review where I do a deep dive into cinematic techniques and thematic exploration. Megalopolis is just too insane to be analyzed in a traditional fashion. For the few of you who may be currently living under a rock, congratulations on accessing this video, but Megalopolis is the latest film from the legendary director Francis Ford Coppola. You know, films like The Godfather and Apocalypse Now. This particular project, Megalopolis, has been in the works since the 80s, and more recently in its actual production has been in the news for a number of reasons. I don't need to dive into all of them, but essentially Coppola was unable to finance or find financing for the film, sold off one of his wine companies, spent about $120 million of his own money, still struggled to find someone to distribute the film, but eventually found Searchlight, and here we are. Megalopolis has made it to theaters. Before I dive into the actual film, I just have to mention I caught this at the early IMAX showing of the film a few days before its wider release. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to catch it at TIFF, but this IMAX early release had a Q&A with Coppola himself alongside Spike Lee and Robert De Niro, and I haven't checked the internet to see if there's footage of this Q&A. I would imagine that there is, but it was such a perfect microcosm of the film itself. It was absolutely chaotic. It was so disorganized, but I could not take my eyes off the screen. Spike Lee was doing Spike Lee things. He got up and jumped around a few times. Robert De Niro looked like he didn't really want to be there, and Coppola went off on tangent after tangent after tangent, but occasionally would land on a very insightful or profound idea, very much like Megalopolis. What I found perhaps most humorous of all was the 10 minutes spent on the three of them trying to remember how they first met, and no one could quite get a complete picture. It was a wild intro to the film and perfectly paired with Megalopolis itself. The story of Megalopolis essentially takes place in this new Rome with Adam Driver and Giancarlo Esposito fighting against one another as Caesar and Cicero, based on the Second Catilinarian conspiracy in BC time, 63 BC. So this is rooted in this historical event, but set in a modern context. To say it is unique would be an understatement. Every time that you blink during Megalopolis, you open your eyes to a completely different movie. It jumps so much that it is actually incredible. I spent, I kid you not, probably 75% of the film with my mouth agape. Not in a metaphorical sense, but literally, I could not stop. It was shocking. It was incredible. It was like nothing I have ever seen on the big screen. At times, it is an ode to Rome, or it is rooted in Greek mythology, or it is Shakespearean, either explicitly or in its themes. And then all of a sudden, it's a very dark and dingy noir crime thriller. Oh, and then we have the dreamlike or psychedelic-filled surrealist sequences that appear occasionally throughout the runtime. During the Q&A, Coppola talked about how the style of The Godfather and Apocalypse Now were so different, and what is his style? And in Megalopolis, we see that it is everything. He incorporated, and I love this, it's so much fun, he incorporated essentially every genre under the sun and every visual technique under the sun. Each scene is shot so much differently. The color palette changes from scene to scene. Really, it has no clear link that ties every scene together from an aesthetic or a visual perspective. When it comes to the performances, I also really don't know what to say. Adam Driver was doing things that I imagine he was directed to do. Coppola talked a lot about how he spent years and years kind of researching and studying the act of rehearsing, and he had the cast do a lot of those drama games that you may have done in high school drama class in order to prepare for these roles. So Driver is captivating, I would say. He's someone that you don't want to take your eyes off, and the cast in general is absolutely stacked. We have performances from folks like Jason Schwartzman, who's actually killing it in this like comedic companion role in Megalopolis, and he was amazing in Queer as well. We have folks like Nathalie Emmanuel, who is Cesar's lover, Adam Driver's lover, but also the daughter of Adam Driver's mortal enemy, of course. We have the wonderful Laurence Fishburne, and the most hilarious performance by far, in my eyes, was Jon Voight, who plays Cesar's uncle, Adam Driver's uncle, but also related to basically every other character, just how things were back in the day. But there is one scene where we are celebrating the marriage of his character and Aubrey Plaza's character. Don't ask any questions. While they are being entertained over a meal and WWE-style wrestling and a fake virgin singer and just casual stuff that you would expect in New Rome. But he has some lines and some facial expressions in this scene or collection of scenes that had me laughing out loud. Like, honestly, I haven't really been laughing in the theater this year. There was also Shia LaBeouf in this film. I don't know what was happening here. He spent about half of the film dressed in drag. I'm not entirely sure why he emerges as this faux populist leader trying to seize on the emotions of the citizens of New Rome to gain power, and slowly but clearly turns into a very explicit Donald Trump character, ultimately leading to the red hats, almost identical to the Make America Great Again hats. There are some very, very explicit, direct references there. I would be so interested to hear more about the specific screenplay development from Coppola. Obviously, these specifics have been added in more recent years, considering that the first draft started in the 80s, so I would love to see how many iterations this script has gone through and how you even write this. What does it look like on the paper? When it comes to themes, none of them will really resonate. Coppola, in the Q&A, as I kind of alluded to, actually has some pretty profound things to say about humanity, to say about society, but they're few and far between, and they are kind of overshadowed by these tangents that go every which way. But it is looking at the current state of the United States, of this hunger for power from elected officials, the idea that power has become more important than the people whom these folks are meant to be serving, and it's foreshadowing the potential downfall of the country. But of course, it is tough to really sink your teeth into those themes when you're just entranced and amazed and confused by what you're seeing on screen. At the end of the day, Megalopolis is an absolute spectacle. In the festival screenings and actually in this early IMAX screening, there's also a scene with a live actor in the movie theater. I would imagine from a logistical standpoint, this won't be possible for all the screenings moving forward in the future. So I wonder how they'll address that specific scene there. I won't spoil anything, but it is a wild ride. It is unlike anything that I have ever seen. And honestly, I want to watch it again. This is an example of doing whatever the hell you want and not caring what people think, about loving so many forms of art that you can't choose, you can't make up your mind, and you just want to do everything. And look, I'm glad that Megalopolis was made, and I don't regret watching it. If you watched this one, thank you. Like, subscribe, comment. All those things are really nice, and I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Watch the next one. Go watch Megalopolis. It's wild. Cheers.